Thank you, guys. Can you hear me through here, or do I have to be on the mic? On the mic? Okay, all right. I got clear instructions to be on the mic. So this is a very strange topic. And when I first heard about it, I kind of cringed a little bit because I don't really ever think of myself as a pioneer. It sounds really like a throwback or like you're doing something special, and I really don't see myself as really doing anything special. But here to really talk about how me personally, how I've been able to create different things. And so for a pioneer, it's really about just spotting things that you think are really special and trying to do it before somebody else. And that was always a constant theme through my life, was to find and spot these new opportunities. And I'm going to shed some light and kind of lower the water a little bit on how I do that and how you might apply that in some of your projects or some of your parts of your life. So I want this to be super informal. I'm an introvert. I don't talk a whole lot to people, although I'm in like lots of executive type meetings and presenting, like 2025 vision and asking for many, many millions of dollars on a regular basis, which you might think that's terrifying. This is terrifying. So I'm comfortable in doing that. This is really hard, just kind of sharing the stuff of trying to break down why you do certain things. So I'm hoping this is super interactive. Please ask questions, stop me along the way. I live in my head a lot, so hopefully you can pull some things out of it. So before I get started, the reason I picked this image, my friend Kurt Mudd, who was the former head of HR at Nike, he always referred to me as a duck, and I thought it was like a put down. So I don't want to be a duck. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you're always like so calm and you're just kind of doing your thing on the lake, and no one realizes that underneath the water you're kicking your legs like crazy to get there. And so you kind of make it look graceful, and so that's kind of just stuck in my head for a lot of parts of my life. And looking back and trying to pull some past photos of my life and things I've worked on, I came to the realization that in my bedroom, it was covered in mallards. So this is back when borders, like wallpaper borders, were in style. They'll come back, don't worry. But there were literally mallards along the top, and I always had these wood ducks, which is super weird. But looking back, I'm like, everything kind of comes back together. So I thought it was kind of an appropriate image for what I'm about to share today. So this is my Arrow Ray. This is my daughter. My wife Nicole, you saw on the front. But I was born and raised in Cincy on the west side of town. I was born on Romance Lane, which you would imagine all kids are born on Romance Lane. And so we moved, is Wester a word? More west? We moved to the far west side, and I grew up. And I'll share a little bit of growing up, but like Katie said, I went to DAP, graphic design, graduated almost 18 years ago, which is ridiculous. I don't feel that old, but the company I started most recently, and you'll see the craziness that was my startup life in a little bit, but started that about 6 years ago. And I'm not really proud of having 320,000 sky miles this year, which is insane. But when you want to do something that's outside of your city, outside of your state, you have to go places. And so, I sacrificed a lot to go places. My family sacrificed a lot to go with me, or we used FaceTime like crazy just to put her to bed at night and things like that. And this is her Halloween costume. Don't ruin it for her, because she doesn't know it's coming. She's going to be a deer. Like I said before, when I thought of pioneer and this whole topic, my mind immediately goes to the gold rush, for right or wrong. I wanted to eat biscuits today. I didn't want to sit by the campfire. But when I started to look back at where this came from, is really more from a military point of view. From the French armies, they used to have pioneers that they would send out ahead of time. It was usually made up of engineers and builders, and they would lay the scaffolding for other people to battle. Right? So not a very glamorous, but very gnarly type of job. And I was like, yeah, that's about right. But for me, it's always just about being that you don't get a lot of the glory, you don't seek the glory. You're literally just trying to pave the way for something new. And sometimes you're at the front of it, sometimes you're not. You just kind of laid the groundwork, and you got to be okay with that and move on. And the term is obviously on the downward trend, so that's why I was kind of thrown off by the topic. But if you look at what a pioneer is, if you asked me before today, I would have said the opposite of a pioneer is a settler. Right? I don't know if anybody would say that. But for me, it's more of pioneers are always at the front end. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the technology curve or adoption curve. You might use it when you're designing innovation and new projects and things like that. But essentially, there's a percentage of people in the world who are the innovators, who are making cool things and interesting things. They get adopted by early adopters, and it kind of makes its way to my mom, who gets an iPhone, right? So trying to teach my mom how to send text messages and stickers back here when I'm already on something completely new is fun and different. So I am not calling my mom a laggard, by the way. I don't think she'll see this, but you will win 10 points on Scrabble board, so that's a good thing. So where my journey started was it was very, very early. I was diagnosed as being hyperkinetic, which sounds super scary, but it's kind of like ADHD. But my mind is moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour, even though my body isn't. So, back to the duck, right? But for me, where this started was really, really early. I was always building things. My mom would lock me in a room. I'll say locked. It was kind of locked. I don't think it's legal anymore, and just give me materials, right? I had Lego blocks and boxes, and I would just build stuff. I didn't have kind of the classic toys. So I'd always just make things. And in third grade, I got this project from Mrs. Grosser, who I still remember this thing, which is kind of insane. And it was to build a city. You had to go home, find a shoebox, build a city, bring it in, and we're going to build a big city in the classroom. And so I went home, and we weren't well off as a family. And I went to look for shoe boxes, and we didn't have any shoe boxes. I had shoes, but pretty much everything I owned until I was in 8th grade was from a garage sale. Right? So something as simple as having a shoe box was foreign to me. So what I did have was I had a styrofoam cooler. Right? I don't know why I had that, but I had that. So I'd spent 3 days on this project. I would stay up all night. My mom was I asked her to do certain things with me, and I wanted to build a city, but I wanted to build something different. So I used this. I cut a hole in the center of it. I don't have the actual picture of this thing, but I wanted to build an underwater city. So I cut a hole in the front of the styrofoam cooler. I built the city underneath. I found sand I put on the bottom there. I had the buildings. had a hole so you could see through it. On the top, I found some coat hangers to kind of make it into a dome and used saran wrap to wrap it. I had fish that I painted, and I made my mom take me to the store to buy fishing wire because I didn't want to use string because you could see that these fish were hanging, and I don't want the fish to hang. I want them to swim. So she tells this story with so much pride, and when I brought it into school, I felt like very embarrassed, right? Because I looked at, that's all I saw was a bunch of shoe boxes of things I didn't have, and then I had this kind of crazy thing, right? And so that night, Mrs. Grosser called my mom and said, you know, I think he's onto something. He's very different, right? And when you come to open house, you'll see what I mean. And so that really started this idea that, you know, for my parents, they invested in me by putting me in rooms with different materials for me to build, not giving me toys that other people had created, just giving me materials so that I can explore and make and empower that. So, fast forward, right, I end up in design school because I wanted to be a brain surgeon, which is not good for a pioneer if you want to like do something different all the time. So she's like, I think you might like something called design, where you can take things, make things, and take different ideas and put them together for people to communicate. And I love that. I was terrible at art. I'm terrible at drawing. I'm terrible at all that stuff. I'm a designer hack. But you know, going through DAP, my last co-op was in San Francisco, so I lived there in 1999 when kind of the dot-com, does anybody remember the dot-com craziness of like 1999, way back in the day? All right, so like my college experience, co-op experience was literally coming home from work, walking through the Tenderloin, which is a terrible part of San Francisco, and then you would go to these multi-million-dollar startup parties. And I was like, this feels weird. I don't understand how you can raise millions of dollars and then the next day throw a big party and then you go online and there's nothing there. And like, I don't understand. I'm not getting this. So I came back, graduated school. I started Hyperquake in a tiny little room with a gigantic monitor that was this, not wide, deep, right? So it was like this. I don't know if anybody has one of those. And I started to go around with my school portfolio to talk about the future of online and how we can tell stories and be authentic and connect with people on a one-on-one basis, which was somewhat new at the time. And so that company quickly grew. We started off doing a lot of Warner Brothers movie websites, which I don't know if they do those anymore, but back then they were really cool, and we gained a lot of kind of street credibility about storytelling online. But in 2008, I was just completely wiped, you know. And as a creative, when you keep on getting hired to like share your ideas, you're almost like left with nothing. I don't know if you ever feel like that sometimes. I was wiped, and I needed to figure out something new to do because I was doing the same thing for 8 years. So sold the company, and they're doing phenomenally well, I think, to this day. So I wanted to start some different things, and this was the first time I ever mapped the things I did. Whoa, like this is crazy. And this was the things that were actually out in the market. There were a bunch of things that didn't make it, right? And I think they were a little before their time. But some of the noteworthy ones were started a company called Fanatic. It was a high school internship program to co-create spiritwear for their school. That was in 2007. We would fly to Israel to like find how we could do on-demand printing, right? So at the time, it was us, Cafe Press, and Zazzle, and you know, little old us and on Central Parkway, right? We had this digital printer, state of the art. You could design online, and it was like one-off production. And I just fell in love with the concept of co-creation very, very early. We trademarked the term co-creation in 2008. Right? So now you hear it a lot, but back then they were like, I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean by this. So all of these things, had a purpose in my life. They were really about this concept of how do you spot things before other people do, right? And so I won't talk through much of these, but for me, I would always go the extra mile when I go out to a city, go to explore a retail spot or a new restaurant or something new, and when salespeople would walk up to you and say, hey, can I help you? Our immediate reaction is, no, leave me alone, I'm fine. And then I started to say, well, this seems interesting. Can you tell me more about it? I wasn't going to buy it. I didn't tell them that. But can you tell me about it? Can you tell me, like, when people come in, what questions do they ask you? This shoe wall. Can you tell me, like, if you were in charge, how you might redesign this based off what you're hearing? Like, I was that weird person asking questions. And so Nicole would always get mad when we would go shopping because you would think she would spend all the time shopping for stuff and that's me asking nerdy questions about why you're doing these things. And she's like, you're not even working for a food company. Right? What are you doing? I'm like, I know, I'm just exploring. So she puts up with it, and she's a designer too, so we kind of nerd out at nighttime. But this whole thing was just about, I started to see and spot these different insights along the way that were really important to kind of lay the scaffolding for things to come. And even if I wasn't the one to reap the benefits of this was never about, it's never about money. It's all about doing something new and different based off of a need that people have. And so I was just really excited about that. So for me, when I look at what a pioneer is, I love this quote by Peter Drucker, is that when you think of innovation, think of all these new things that you're trying to pioneer, all of the answers are literally right in front of you. They're literally right in front of you. That's all you have to do is reframe your mind and slow down. So for me, when somebody asks, how do you do innovation? How do you do these things? There's the design thinking process. There's human-centered design. There's all these different terms and buzzwords. And yes, there are. But for me, all of the inputs are right here. I just have to slow my mind down, slow my body down, and be able to be aware of them and find them. I'm going to need 2 volunteers. I need a male and a female. This won't be weird, I promise. All right. So we got female. I'm handing out your role. What are you going to say? Male? We need a male? All right. So read this real quick. You're not going to do anything right now, but for me, how I perceive the world is literally like an iceberg. Okay, and I know so many people use an iceberg as an example, but you'll see it falls in. We all observe what people are doing. Right? You can see me walking around, you see all these different things, you walk into a store, you see what people are doing. What's really hard is to know the stuff under the water, which is what are they thinking about and how are they feeling? Right? We always ask the question, how are you feeling? But really we're saying how are you doing? Right? We get these mixed up. For me, what I try to do is just break down, lower the water. I try to drain the water, and I want to understand in every experience that I'm trying to create and innovate is how can I get to feeling? How can I find out how you feel? Because where there's pain or delight, there's opportunity. Okay? And when you're feeling terrible, and you have a pain, I want to know what you're thinking about so that I can create something to change what you're doing. Does that make sense? So all these things have to be in alignment. If you're into frameworks and process and things like that, Adaptive Path has an amazing practice around experience mapping that really blows this out. So if you're into that, I would highly recommend researching them. And so to illustrate this, we're gonna look at something that we've all been to, which is, has everybody been to an ATM machine? I don't know why I call it an ATM machine, even though machine's the M. I don't get that, but so we're gonna look at this experience. So where's my, yep, you're up. Face the ATM. Yep.
This is the
yep.
ATM.
All right. So what's your name?
Amy.
Amy. All right. So Amy is going to pretend to be us, right? So Amy's walked up to the ATM machine. So you're going to turn this way. You're going to turn your back to everybody. There you go.
Oh.
Yeah. You're at. Yeah. This is an ATM.
Okay.
Right here. All right. Amy needs cash. Right? We've all been there. I got to go to an ATM machine. I'm going there, put my card in. What is she doing? What's she doing? Putting her PIN in. Choosing a transaction. Choosing a language. Okay.
She's excited to see her credit card balance.
Her balance? All right. That doesn't happen. Yeah, that doesn't happen often. All right, now, where's my other, so what's your name? Jeffrey. So Jeffrey has the same need. He needs to get cash out too, right? So Jeffrey walks up to the ATM machine, okay? We've all been in both of these positions, right? We've been Amy. I need cash out. I'm doing these stupid instructions. I'm doing this, right? And we've all been Jeffrey. We've been the person behind the person, right? So Jeffrey walks up. How does this change what she's doing, thinking, and feeling? She gets anxious. What's she thinking about? Hurry up. So raise your hand so I can point, so everybody can hear it. Good. So you feel pressured or hurried? Okay.
She might be worried that he's trying to get the pen and steal her money or something.
Okay. Any other?
I was just going to say the same thing.
Security.
Security.
So, okay. Cool.
Get the money put away.
Yep. What's some other emotions? I feel hurried. Right? I feel anxious. I might speed up what I'm doing, make a mistake. What's she thinking about when he walks up as well?
Get it done fast.
Get it done fast. Okay. Why is that?
Because someone's waiting.
Someone's waiting. Ever been in line, someone's behind you, and you're trying to like go faster on their benefit?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now we've all been Jeffrey, right? We're waiting behind somebody, right? Just to speed, see what are some of the things that he's thinking about right now? I want to pressure, okay. Am I too close, right? Please hurry up. Has this person ever used an ATM machine? Right? I mean, if we're being real, okay? Especially in like a gender situation, does she think I'm checking her out? Like if you're being real, right, lower the water, right, if we're being real. Does she think I'm checking, am I too close? Does she think I'm trying to see how much money she has? Does she think I'm going to rob her? Right?
You're seriously paranoid people. I'm like the most patient person in the world online. I'm just like sitting here thinking, oh, I got to pick
Right.
this up at the store.
Right.
And
Right.
Hell.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe, check the phone.
Right. But I mean, we've all been there, right? We pace around, we look at phone, and the bank, thank you guys, by the way. Oh. All right, you're done. So we've all been in this experience, right? And if you got the brief to redesign how people get cash, right, I would study this experience, right? I'd list out all of the different things in sequence of what were they doing, what were they thinking about, and how were they feeling. And for me, as a, I don't call it pioneer, but just like to try to innovate that experience, I immediately go to the low points to create a solution to improve that, right? And so you see some of these like hacked ATM experiences, which are like, you know, thanks for the $3 line on the ground to tell me where to stand. It's better, right? Thanks for the weird globe here to try to like not see anything coming behind me and to change the perception of what I can see. Thanks for all the weird buttons on the side. I mean, it's just, it's broken. If you were to try to innovate that whole space, you would want to understand the current experience so well that you would create ideas that are just around the pain points. And these are what companies like Uber and a bunch of other startups that they get really, really deep on. They just trying to lower the water to find the feeling and what they're thinking. These are two situations I've been in the last 2 days that are terrible. If I had more time, yeah. Oh, sorry. If I had more time, okay. If I had more time, I would spend on doing these things. And I encounter all these different experiences just like you do on a daily basis. You have to decide, does this problem need solved? Am I uniquely suited to solve this problem? And can this sustain my life? Right? Weird questions you have to ask yourself. But if I wanted to we're redesigning a house, contractor, going to all these different stores, the whole ordering process, we make all these choices based off of time, when time is never presented at the retail environment or the retail experience. It's always price and square foot, not in how quick can I get it, which is how we make a lot of our decisions. Doctor's visit, right? Is everybody familiar with love languages? Okay. How does the doctor know my love language in order to communicate to me in a way that I know that I feel loved? You're giving me lots of different information. It doesn't stick. Like, why aren't you understanding how I communicate? It's just, you just communicate how you communicate. But when you're in a relationship, you change the way you communicate based off of who you're with. And by, again, lowering the water, I can change what I'm doing to connect information better. I would love to spend time on the healthcare piece, but I'm going to skip this. But so for companies, primarily what I do, our team does, is just help them see things, right? And again, this is about slowing down what you're doing, focused on feeling, and create these ways. I love just this look at like Sherlock Holmes. While he might get all of the glory, he always brings a team with him and is holding the looking glass on the things that they should spot, right? It's always about bringing others with you to show them, like, do you see what I see? I might spot it, but I need you to be with me on the journey. I need you to see these same things because you're going to be the support system that we need to keep going. So how does this translate into what we're working on as a company? Is that our team can't be in every place at every time. And so the trick was, well, how do I increase what I'm able to see? How do I see more? So we came up with this idea about 7 years ago. Well, instead of doing focus groups, instead of going to visit consumers in home, what if we could actually have them help capture what's going on in their life? So we created this concept around missions, where if I could give out assignments to consumers, I could see what's happening in their daily routine. I could go into these experiences, and then I can spot what are they doing, thinking, and feeling, right? And so rather than sitting down for 90 minutes in a focus group or getting 20 minutes to visit a consumer when we said don't clean up, they clean up anyway, how do I get real, authentic moments to be able to see new things? So that's what we're as a company we're focused on right now, is how do we create ways for all of us to have windows into people's lives to see things that we don't normally see. And from there, if we could recognize pain, delight, what they're thinking about, we can create new things. We can create new experiences. But it's only then that they actually are attached to their life, because we did the dirty work to get there. So how this works is primarily we design missions around a problem. We then onboard consumers that we've recruited all over the world that are specific to what we're trying to solve. And they have these missions or assignments that they complete on their phone, right? I would never go to a focus group. But I might go into a different experience where I can share ideas, right? The venue, like today, I'm sharing a bunch of information. If someone asked me to go to a focus group and share it, I wouldn't. The experience is broken. How can we innovate the experience? So consumers can share all of these different parts of their life, take us into the bathroom. I'm going to go faster, but can go into the bathroom to see how they're getting ready in the morning, how they're making choices, take me into retail, how you're shopping the different walls, what are you thinking about and seeing and hearing and doing while you're there. And so as all this content, you can imagine we have like tons of content and data that are coming in from these missions. Is that our team is just ridiculously talented, and we're trying to figure out, how do we analyze all this data using AI and machine learning and all these different things to break down what's in images and video, to bubble up all these different themes so that we can know where to look, right? And this isn't going to do our job. It's just going to help, again, give us a compass for where to go first. This is like super bizarre and weird for a creative, like me, who I always thought I had the answer. I thought companies come to me and say, hey, what would you do if you were us? And it's empowering to actually put that responsibility not on yourself, but allow consumers to actually be a part of the problem and part of the solution. Create windows into this so you can see different things. So just like how this plays out in the commercial world, and this is the last part, but is that for the last 3 years, our team, our company has been helping Adidas turn themselves around. About 3 years ago, they had just been overtaken by Under Armour as the number 2 sportswear company. Not a great place to be. And they had a challenge that they put out across the entire company is, how do we be consumer obsessed? And we were there at the right time, right place. And so we gave everybody in the company battery. We launched missions for every business unit. And we gave them opportunities to see through the consumer's eyes, not through our eyes. And that started to do some really unique things in the company and within teams and within the culture, that it isn't about me. We're not the hero. Our consumer's the hero. And we have to come up with ways to kill the dragon, right? Nike is not the dragon. The dragon is, I'm tired and I don't want to go work out. Things don't fit me the right way. All these different scenarios. And so we're creating unique ways for them as a company to see and spot these new opportunities. This was a unique one. It's called Glitch. Started out within Adidas football, which is soccer for us here in the US, where they had this new innovation where a soccer boot, a football boot, split into 2 pieces. Right, so if I walk away, can you hear me? Maybe? All right. So there's this sock part right here that slides into the skin, right? And they lock together, and you've got a football boot. Super weird behavior change to buy shoes in 2 pieces, right? So they're all set to launch this thing. I happen to be in the room, and the worst question to ask somebody is, what do you think, when you don't know the answer? I was like, I don't know why we built this. which goes over really well. So we said, well, let's back up and let's go understand the experience of what consumers go through in purchasing, buying, using football boots. So we recruited consumers in London, 60 consumers to start with, did a whole series of different missions over the next few weeks to actually see what the pain points were, right? And when you want to change how you're innovating, you've got to change the methods and behaviors that you as a team are doing. And for us, we're just trying to create windows. We just want to put a window in your building to see more. So we used the concept of missions over those few weeks to really change how this thing was launched and delivered. It started out as London only through a mobile app where you could pick a starter pack that was delivered to your flat in under 4 hours to help you get kitted up. And then once you're there, you could order different skins that were unlocked to your territory and have a totally different experience with your community within London through this whole platform. So a very unique way to launch product, but it had to be grounded in insights in order for it to take off. And this was so successful, they've rolled it out in Berlin. It'll be coming to the States sometime. I can't say when, but it'll be a global rollout. But it was rethinking how we're doing things. And you have to have these insights in order to change people's minds that are around you. You got to take them with you through the looking glass, right? They have to see it too. And so, this was just one example across all the different business units that we've been able to change the trajectory of the company, right? So when we started with them 2.5 years ago, like I said, they had just got overtaken. And I know shareholder value is not a determination if a company is successful. Maybe it is. And we're not the full reason at all, right, about why this is happening. But if you think of us as we're the pioneers, we're the ones that go in early, we lay the scaffolding, we dig for gold, and we try to provide windows in the creative process to make faster, smaller decisions to get there. This is never one big jump. These are all little incremental ticks to go up and kind of better what you do. Well, our team's really, really proud of what we've been able to accomplish with them and continue to grow in our relationship with them and hopefully scale it out to other companies that want to go on a similar type of journey. So in closing, it just kind of the so what, right? What does this mean? For me, this is all about slowing down. It's about being more aware of your environments, the people around you, always asking yourself, doing, thinking, feeling. Right? The next time you go into a retail shop or a restaurant or things like that, it's okay to ask questions. You don't have to just say, no, thank you, I'm fine. I want to know what's special in here. Right? We do it in restaurants. What do people order? Right? And then they tell you, and then what do? You order the chicken. Right? We all do that. But be open to some of these new experiences, but be very aware and ask questions around thinking and feeling. Okay, that's really, really important. So part of this is, you as a pioneer, what are the tools that you're going to use to see more? Right? So how do I get there? Once you're there, asking those questions to find pain, and make sure you triple circle the pain points. These are super, super important. And as you're going out, you always want to collect all these different ideas to put them together into a particular solution. And if you're with a team, you have to be all in. You have to make that agreement as a startup or as a team member in anything you're doing is to, we're going to go like this. And I'm going to share things that I see that you don't see, and that's okay. But as long as they're grounded in an insight that we can agree on, we can debate the action, right? But we have to be all in to have those conversations. So I would love to kind of share more just through any questions that people have or different areas that we want to dig in. But I really, really, really appreciate you listening to a duck, right? Who's trying to share a little bit of how kicking and screaming under the water to create something new. So thank you very much. Any questions? Yes.
Can you share some of the insights you found on Adidas? I was trying to put it together with the two pieces and what you found subsequently.
I can share very top level, I think. I think what consumers were looking for is a community. And when we think about community, like when we try to solve a problem that we're not in the problem, we create like social networks, and it's an app, and it's these things people have. That wasn't really what relationship looked like. And so it was, what are the features we need to build to actually mean that we're in community? Which sounds strange. And I can't show you the answer, but like, and what we did as part of the missions is we asked consumers to sketch out their journey, right? And they were illustrating things with happy and sad faces in their journey and uploading them as part of missions. It really helped us hone in on like who's involved in the buying decision. Parents were obviously very much involved in in many cases like a $200 purchase. And when you break one cleat, right, you got to buy a new pair. This you don't. Right, so it's like how do you find problems and then reframe these things as delighters for all of the different stakeholders who are in the experience. Yeah. And never stop. Right, so we did it in one city. We're like, this is going to be different in Berlin. So let's create a whole other community. Let's do missions here to really understand how we might tweak it a little bit. But it was the most successful launch in Adidas' history. It just won Cannes Lion Award for Best Example of Co-Creation. And we don't really talk about it at all because we just keep on moving. You got to keep on building stuff. But yeah, I mean, it was all, the consumer has all the answers. We just need to know how to look for them. So, yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
So starting out, whether it was with Hyperquake or prior to that, I guess where or how did you get to the point where you had this idea and felt it was at a place where you could put it out there, or this is good enough and this is something? How did you get yourself to that point where you went out there?
Yeah, so, I mean.
Chip, can you use a microphone?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the question was, how do I get myself to the kind of the tipping point to want to act and solve the problem? I think when you start hearing things over and over again, it locks it into your brain that like this is a problem worth solving. But it's also, you have to get yourself over the hurdle of, am I uniquely suited to solve this problem? And sometimes the answer is no, but you have to be okay with that because you're probably going to fail. I knew nothing about apparel, right? Everything I owned, like I said, it was like garage sale, right? And when we would go shopping, it was like, where's the Husky section? Like, who wants to know that when you're a little kid? So it's trying to like have some sort of personal connection to the problem. It's not like a special thing that like happens. It's just in your head. You have an opportunity to create something first, to like know how did that feel. Put it out there really quickly. Is there enough like groundswell to like take it forward? If I show it to people and they think it's weird, I'm probably onto something, right? Am I okay to go home and obsess about it all night? And for me, I don't sleep a whole lot, so I'm like just obsessed with it. There may be problems you're trying to solve right now in your life or with projects or clients that you're like obsessing about, and that one stands out above everything else that you're doing. There's probably something in that you need to explore. And for me, I have to take a day off to go explore it. I can't put it to bed. I gotta like get on a plane. I gotta say, hey guys, I'm leaving the office to go do something. But they know that culturally within our company, we're a better company when I'm not in the office, which is, that's not something you want to hear, but it's, you got to go out, explore, bring things back, show us what you're seeing. Do we believe it too? And when you can start to find that one person who gets it, you grab them and you bring them together, and that's all it takes is that one person. Say, I see you, I see what you're doing here, I like this. Everybody else is going to think it's weird, right? Like, you got to find your Mrs. Grocer, right, that said, there's something here, and then unite with them and take it to the next step. That was a long answer, but yes?
This is really just a comment on your duck.
Yeah.
Because I think you're leaving out the fact that ducks, I think you're leaving out the fact that ducks dip under the water to find their food.
Yes.
And from what you've spoken this morning, I think that that's what you're doing as well. So you're not just churning your feet under there, you're also searching underwater.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate what you shared.
Yeah, thank you. I love that. I love building on it. This was the first time, like when you're doing a presentation, if you ever put together a presentation, it's like you got 4 days to try to sum up all these things, and you make all these weird connections. And this was one I made in the process of creating. So I love that. Yeah, love it. Any other questions? Yes. Amy at the ATM.
Yes, Amy at the ATM. Is it possible to be a pioneer without being an entrepreneur?
Absolutely, yeah. Can you hear me? Do I need to be on a... Okay, all right, we need each other. Okay, cool, all right. I'll eventually get it. So do you need to be an entrepreneur to be a pioneer, right? The answer is absolutely not. I was a designer. I took 1 quarter of entrepreneurship. That was my only business class. But we make things. You need to be a builder to be a pioneer. You need to be an engineer, an architect, a designer, a creative, something. You need to build something to be a pioneer. That's really the only qualification. And you have to be okay to go out in front. Right? And there's all kinds of other emotions that go along with that of, are you okay to be alone? Are you brave? Do you have courage? Are you okay when people say no and they don't get it? You have to be you have to have thick skin. It tends to come into entrepreneurship just because we sometimes get the microphone, right? Like the Elon Musks of the world get the microphone, they have the stage, and what are you doing? Well, I've built infrastructure for the vision, right? I'm the one out front, but we're building infrastructure. So I think they may get a lot of the notoriety, but before that, I was doing all kinds of. I was building that weird underwater city. We're building. You just got to keep building. Yeah. Any other questions?
Are you still involved with Ocean?
Yeah. So the question was, am I still involved with Ocean? Yeah. So about 4 years ago, I don't know if anybody's heard of Unpolished at all, or Ocean. So this was something that me and a couple of friends helped create, just a really raw venue to share unpolished stories. And for me personally, my faith in God has played a huge role as me being a pioneer. And it took me about 10 years to wrestle with this whole concept of how do you create, where's your center of gravity? if you always think you're the one that has the answer, you're thinking about it wrong. I'm just a vessel for ideas to flow through. I wanted to explore that side of myself and be very vulnerable about doing that. As a part of that, we need to share stories to connect with one another. So that's what Unpolished is. It's a speaker series and a national conference. Out of that was, well, how do we fund people's ideas? And so we launched Ocean Accelerator, which was kind of the first tech accelerator where the intersection was faith, which is, again, super weird. But if you want to explore that, that's a place to have the conversation. Because if you have high character, if you're trustworthy, if I know your why, not like the why of the company, but I know you, I believe that you can raise money in a different way. And so Ocean's been an amazing, we have our, I think, 4th class going through in January, so I think applications are maybe still open. So we take 10 companies a year, $50,000, a 5-month program to do it. I'm still lightly involved, but again, it's kind of, you have to pick and choose what things you want to do, go deep on. So my duck over there. Yeah. Yes.
We're not being rude.
No.
So this is more of a personal question, but did having a kid force you to step back from being a pioneer, or did it further that or encourage you to be more innovative?
We're going to blame it on the kids. Absolutely. Yeah. So when I got married, which was just 4 years ago yesterday, which we had a glamorous anniversary dinner of Mazunte at home. Does that count? Yes, it does. I think when we got married, even before kids, was you're doing too much. You're doing too many things. That chart I never showed her. But our mission as a family, when we got married, was to simplify your life, right? Which seems easy, super hard to do. It took a few years to get there. At the end of that chart, let me go back. I'm mainly doing one thing right now. I'm doing battery. I've either sold, shut down, or diminished my involvement, and you have to say no. I've learned, like, you want to take coffee meetings all the time, you want to answer every email you get, there's just not enough headspace for you, but you have to there has to be hard no's. It sucks, like you want to be helpful. But for me, I've had to simplify everything into one thing. I want to build Battery to be a company that's used by teams all over the world. I want that for our team. I want that for our family. I want that because I think we're solving a real problem. Because having kids, I don't think I've been happier in my life, right? I used to put my happiness, and that was kind of my faith journey. I used to put my happiness and my identity, who I am, and what I'm making. What a shitty place to put right? But when you're in the thick of it, that's kind of all you have to go on. But for me, again, like lowering the water on like feeling is like I'm not feeling good. I need to change what's the pain here? It's like I need to find delight in my life, and it's not coming through what I'm making, right? And I need to be in relationship. So meeting Nicole, having a baby, which I never thought were possible, right? And being able to laugh at nighttime, right? To like tickle wars. Come on. So, I would have never said that 5 years ago. But it's only helped me to say what's important, what do I need to know, and what do I need to do. So I love it. I don't think I could be doing what I'm doing right now unless I had Arrow. So, Yeah. Yes. All right, so I got that wasn't a subtle thing. So the duck is dying. So thank you all very, very much. My email is chat@battery.com if you ever have any questions of that. But I want to thank Creative Mornings, the whole crew, for allowing me to share the story. So appreciate it.